What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. This is the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. We are broadcasting live Saturday afternoon in the East, June 11th, but it's a special day for at least two reasons. The second reason we'll hold off for just a little bit, but you know that we like to do new things for our audience on the Dr. Vibe show. And for a long period of time, I guess it's a two-part thing. I was having epic conversations with one lady, and then it was epic conversations with two ladies, and we were doing it audio only. And for the last little while, I've said, you know, we got to go video. We got to do live stream stuff. And then they finally gave in. I didn't put any pressure on them. They said, hey, they want to do it. And the day is here now. So for those who know a little bit, a lot, or not even anything about the Dr. Vibe show, one of the epic conversations we've had for a number of years is called Staggers State of Things. And it started off with Aisha K. Staggers. And if we can just bring on Aisha to say hello. Hello. First of all, pop quiz. Do you remember when you first came on the Dr. Vibe show?
Yeah, it was 2017 because you read an article I wrote called Why America Needs to Listen to Black Women. Yeah. And we were going to talk about the article, and you said, well, anytime you want to come back. I said, okay, next week.
And next week has become, well, actually, the first date you on was like December 28th, actually 2018, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And ever since that day, Aisha's probably been the most regular friend on the Dr. Vibe show. And then about halfway through last year, Aisha said, we should have this lady on. And I go, who is this lady? And I went, okay, part of Prince's entourage for 10 years. I said, okay, I know she's got the music chops, but does she got other chops? Well, my goodness, does she have other chops? So if Jill Jones could come on to the screen, and we're going to have Jill Jones. Hey, Jill, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you? Hello.
And so what these ladies do, and they always do it to the highest degree, and they drop knowledge bombs, especially what's going on in the country that they're in, the United States. I'm here in Toronto. Aisha's in Connecticut.
Yep.
Jill's in LA. So what I'm going to do is, just for a few short moments, because this is the first time we're doing video, Aisha, can you share a little bit of background about yourself, and then we'll get Jill to share a little background about herself, and then we'll get into our conversation.
I am a journalist. Before that, I used to be a professor, at least part-time, and I worked in politics, public policy, but about 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to be a journalist full-time. So that's what I do. I do a lot of freelancing, and I'm also a literary agent. So anyone who's interested in writing books should probably get with me. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. And Jill Jones, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I used to sing a lot more and perform with Prince and Tina Marie, and did a lot of backing sessions in my youth, film, and, you know, on the entertainment side of things. And then after that stint, I moved into advertising and different areas of marketing, and started working with a 4K streaming company from Germany. And I handle most of the music interviews for a global fashion magazine called Ubiquist, which is sort of old school principles, very progressive. Old school, I mean, in the sense that we still use real photographers, real makeup people. They're not just Instagram people. And not putting that down, but, you know, just sort of hearkening on the quality. The magazine can be purchased in quarters of the year, and it's definitely informative with a lot of diverse. We feature a lot of diverse artists, musicians, fashion people, philosophers, all kinds of people in this magazine. So it's a really good thing that I became involved in. And then you guys scooped me up and I'm here.
Well, you know what? So people are going to ask, how did Aisha and Jill meet?
I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so long story, not too long, but I came to know about Jill through a Tina Marie record. It Must Be Magic. And I was about 5 or 6, and I used to sit and read liner notes, and I read Jill's name. I knew who all of the other people were. I didn't know who Jill was, and I was like, I want to know who this Jill Jones person is. And when I got to see Purple Rain and I saw her name, it didn't dawn on me that Jill Jones was a common name. I just realized that, oh, that's the same person.
Wow.
So it's like putting 2 and 2 together. And we have a mutual friend who knew I just loved me some Jill Jones. And so he actually called me one day, and I didn't answer the phone, but I noticed there were like 6 calls in a row. I'm like, something must be up. So I called him back, and he said, well, I'm at lunch in LA. And I was like, okay, no, why are you telling me? And he said, well, there's someone here who wants to say hi to you. And it was Jill.
And that's how we met. And we clicked immediately.
Yeah.
And from there, it just sort of blossomed, and we were simpatico. Yes.
This has been quite a week, sir. The last time we spoke, there's been a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And let's go in reverse order. Of course, on a Friday evening, your friend 45, your president, drops another bomb. Now, he commuted the sentence of Roger Stone. So, first of all, tell our audience who Roger Stone is and why both you think that this is not a good thing. Okay, what about
all I can think about is Roger Stone dressed in that outfit that looks like Michael Jackson in the Smooth Criminal video, and he is a political operative. He helped run Trump's 2016 campaign, and apparently he had some involvement with Russia over the 2015, 2016 part of the campaign. And he was convicted. He had 7 convictions against him, and he was supposed to go to jail for, what was it, 4 years or 40 years? 4 years.
4.
And 4. And he, Trump commuted his sentence, which means that he will be able to be viewed in the eyes of the law as being not guilty, instead of being pardoned, which pardon means that you accept guilt and are then freed. But his sentence was commuted.
So here's my question: is his guilty verdict now gone?
Yeah, that's what it means. It means he takes no guilt for his actions. He accepts no guilt.
He takes no guilt for lying in front of Congress.
Correct.
Yeah, it was commuted. And generally, it's sort of, instead of pardon, which would have been, he could not be listed as a felon. Right. Who knows, this could just be the first step before he totally pardons him. Because, everything that 45 does is really just the beginning. He's always laying the groundwork for something else. So, it's pretty much, Lindsey Graham came out and said something like, well, it was his first sentence and he's an old man and he could get COVID and whatever. But they didn't hesitate.
COVID. Oh my God. This is bull. This is all for Trump. It's selfish.
Yeah.
It's selfish. That's what it is. He knows that if he didn't do something, Roger Stone was going to come out of jail talking. Because and if you look at what Roger Stone says the conversation was that he had with Trump, it was definitely a quid pro quo.
Which is what Trump does very well.
Yeah.
I mean, now we can see that everything that gets done is quid pro quo. He's withheld funds each time as a threat, like these temper tantrums, but he's a grown-ass man. So the issue here is it's always a quid pro quo. If you don't give me this, I'm not going to give you money. That's just the way he is. He's always been like that. It's now so easy to see that that's how he does business. If you don't give me value. And that type of personality can lead into so many gray areas when you want to leverage anybody to get your way. That's a problem, and he is the type of person who just won't take no for an answer. I really would have to say that there is nothing too low that he would not do, or make someone else do.
Were either of you surprised about the commute for Stone at all?
No.
He said he was going to do it, and he did it. But I think the surprise for many people came that he did it as quickly as he did it. It was like the media asked him Friday morning, "Are you going to do this?" But then by 2:00 p.m. he did it.
Yeah.
And so people were shocked with how quickly he did it. But the fact that he did it, no. And I think his aides are telling him, "Don't do this. This looks really bad. This looks really bad for your election." But he thinks that it's going to help him.
This is the one president that we have. We do not have logs of his phone calls, his texts, his communications. We do not know how he operates at all. He's probably been in touch because it's really interesting. Roger was out of there in a second. And I believe he still communicates and has different people liaising with the people. It's already been set up. I just think that it's so crazy because typically the press corps and people are given honest information, and that's how it used to work. It doesn't work like that anymore. So whatever they say, I don't think anybody should really believe too much of it. It's just really look at his actions and his behaviors. I don't really care if he said that cheese was a hairdo or whatever. I just have to watch his actions and his behaviors speak volumes. I don't even care. I don't even know why the press corps shows up anymore. I've said this a million times on the show. I think that people should stop retweeting him. I think people should stop goading him, going on and fighting with his little minions and lemmings who defend him so, and just sit back in the cut and wait for voting day and do our stuff by foot or by hook or crook, because that's my personal opinion. Don't give him the shine. Don't give him attention. Shut him down that way. But everybody's egos are so involved in telling him off and telling this one off. Forget that. It doesn't work. Shut it down. We talk to each other. You're on Team Biden or whatever we're doing. Let's stick there. Let's keep that glue going. Donald Trump is a distraction. He's a liar. He's a false prophet, which he wants to call himself a god. He's fake, And this is a person who probably, for all I know, goes and stands in front of Satan's altar every time he gets the numbers from how many people died from COVID.
So here's my question, though. Do we see anything like this happening for, like, Manafort? Actually, here's a little sidebar. Do people know, maybe you two know, but does anyone know what Mr. Stone has tattooed on his back?
Richard Nixon.
Yes. Enough said, right?
Yeah. I mean, as long as Trump believes that pardoning these people or commuting their sentences is a viable option for his political win, of course he'll pardon them. He will commute their sentences. He'll do whatever he has to do because he no longer has what he believed to be his ace in the hole, which was the economy. Have you seen the economy commercial that Trump? Have you seen it online?
It did something really unnatural for me last night. I watched about 20 minutes of television, and some of it was CNN, and they were showing the contrasting commercials between 45's campaign and Biden's campaign, and they looked at, and they had a quote neutral agency look, and every one of 45's ads are down as negative, whereas every one's of Biden's are seen as positive.
Right. But 45's commercial on the economy is like the best jobs numbers in the history of America. Well, this Friday, 1.7 more Americans just filed for unemployment. Really? And then you talk about the best African American jobs numbers in the history. Are you kidding me? And so that was like, it's like you released a 1995 political commercial in 2020 and tried to make it make sense. I'm like, what year is this? Really?
Right.
That was such a Ronald Reagan commercial. It's not funny. He's like not even fighting the good fight now. I think he just kind of gave up. It's like the same way he gave up on coronavirus. He just said, "Oh, the hell with it."
Yeah, he did. And I think that it's beyond even gaslighting anybody. I think that this dude has removed the gas station, removed the lights, removed everything. He's just like, oh, well, I'm going to just throw everything to the wall. But I don't think that he believes that it's, you know, all for naught. Like, oh, it's going to work. You got to remember who his audience is. He knows that they salivate for blood. They always see a bias as far as like, they don't see themselves as the dirty ones. Meanwhile, they're covered in poop. You know, they're just standing there and they don't even pay attention to the fact that they reek when they come on somebody's page or when you see them. It's just like they are the banished ones, as Prince used to call them. And in my particular feeling, I think that with Roger Stone and all his little cronies, yeah, he just has to dust them off and he needs his ego massaged.
I was watching a comedian this morning and I realized that Trump really doesn't have to try very hard. He doesn't try very hard because he doesn't have to. His supporters are the people who eat roadkill. They eat possum for breakfast. Yeah. Okay?
They do. This is the margin. The ones who eat roadkill and the other ones who eat snails. So.
Those are the people who go to Walmart in those weird dressed outfits. Those are the ones you see with the pictures where like grandpa's wearing the underwear on his head and the Confederate boxer shorts.
And the money changers in the background. The ones who will lie in your face and say, oh, I don't know. I don't know who I'm voting for. Like,
the Republican Party back after they get Trump. But you can't get those people back. Those people who support him, those country bumpkins with no teeth, living in a trailer park, sleeping with their uncles, you can't get those people back.
No, and I want to say I agree with you on that because, Aisha, we are at a point in Dr. Vibe, I think, you know, you're hanging off the cliff, you're holding on to a few people, and they're going to pull me up, and you just go, I got to let you go, or you're going to pull me down. This is where we are. I let those people go. I don't even care about switching them over. It's like they're not even on my radar. They're done. Zip, in a baggie, bye. I think that we're at that point where they're not the target audience. It's actually for us to get through to people that are still decent. And maybe I'm like Rousseau here. I would like to believe that people are still basically good somewhere. But even the other day I was reading something by Rousseau and I said, I think he was wrong. I just don't think, maybe we're not in the space where people are showing their goodness. And if you feed off of Trump's toxicity every single day, it eats away at you. Like last night I was just like down and I was just like, this cannot be happening because the country, in essence, America is dead. I mean, it's dead. It's lost all vibrancy.
I just want to interject for a moment. Just I want to catch some people, some comments watching live. Nicole Waldron is saying, wow. Bobby Stamp saying, Dr. Roy, I hope you and your fam is good. Nicole said again, I love these ladies, so real. Nicole is a very good associate of mine, so she is all over this. Brian Delaney says, we have these people in Canada as well. They don't seem to vote as much. And so, but here's an interesting I heard from a political commentator yesterday. He said, Americans only had one big thing to do this year: wear a mask.
Right.
Yeah.
And this leads into our COVID conversation, but he said, all they had to do was wear a mask. He said, 45 ain't doing it, and a lot of Americans aren't doing it. And not only has 45's administration failed, a number of Americans have failed.
No, but Dr. Vibe, I have to say, I think that it all got roped into, like freaking Sleepy Hollow and the Headless Horseman and Paul Revere about this damn mask. It was like, are you really? I mean, it turned into the Tea Party and these are my rights and all of this. I mean, get out of here, people.
Trump had one job to do, just one job to do, and that was to make MAGA masks. That was all he had to do. But no, he goes and he buys out a stock of hydrochloroquine.
Yeah. But he does have masks now because we have a guy who went into Scottsdale, the land of the delusional, and they're wearing their MAGA masks, their Trump masks. I'm pretty sure he's collecting them.
I haven't seen those. They actually exist?
Yeah, the one that's being sold has a T that's in the shape of a swastika. That's the Trump mask being sold. Mm-hmm. So when the young girl at Body Works or Bed Bath & Beyond told the guy, F Trump, in a really serious way, I don't think she should have been fired based upon the fact that this mask is a swastika disguised as Trump's with his name. So we have an ethical problem here, and she should sue Bed Bath & Beyond or whatever they're called. She should, because for me, that's offensive. And if I saw any shop letting somebody in a store with something that even remotely was alluding to Hitler and the Sig Heil or any of that, I'm done. I won't buy their stock. I won't get involved in anything that they do. And I'm about ready to get rid of Twitter and Facebook and sell what I do have in there, because as a stockholder or a shareholder or whatever of most of the things that I like to frequent and support, I won't do it. I won't. Done.
Wow.
They're not doing enough to get rid of the QAnonymous freaks. It's becoming incredibly, it's a cyber ops campaign. And I believe that this hiding behind anonymity online should be totally restricted and not allowed at all. Don't tell me with all the tech. If you can listen to me in my house, then you can figure out who the hell is on the other end of that posting garbage. There's no excuse for it.
Listen, but the three of us are Black people. So, of course, if we complain about the racism that we see all over Twitter, they will ban us first. And we've seen this happen time and time again. Look how long it took for them to start looking into the things that Trump tweets and to really start holding him accountable when he's been saying racist things forever.
It's true. I mean, there's a fantastic woman on Twitter who does these, and I had thought about what a great idea it might have been if I could draw. She does these little infographics that connects everything he says almost every day in pictures and links. It's like a map of all the contacts, and she sort of aggregates his cronies' comments and all these different things, and she puts them out on these little drawings and little pictures. It's phenomenal, actually. If you pay attention, she captures a lot, and you start to see that they do have a plan, even when it comes to what they're all going to say for the narrative, how they all pick up on it. It's all coded, and they all know what they're doing. So I think that, at this point, it's really time to stop pushing back on what did Trump do today? Oh, did he do this? He's got to be reduced to background singer. Let's just take the spotlight off of him for a minute. It's like, what do we do?
So, Jill, let me ask. So if the majority of the public takes that thought process, just ignores him, does that now mean he has less checks and balances on what he does.
I still think that, I'll go on, sorry.
Because 45 is going to do what he does. And if he just does it and no one contests it, is that a good situation?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because even with the little bit of hate that I have received online, and people have called me all kinds of names, and you this, you that, I don't read it. So it doesn't, if I answer back, somebody has told me to go look at it, and I go, oh, okay. But to be honest with you, I don't read it, and neither does he. It doesn't resonate. Unless your name has a check mark beside it, Trump's not going to give a damn what anybody says at all. Not a peon, not a serf. He's above that. So people aren't playing smart. Everybody seems to, we're all in our egos thinking that our opinions really matter and that they're valuable. They're not. We're just talking to the peanut gallery. We're still not in backstage. We're just a bunch of little groupies out in the front still trying to get backstage. I'm telling you, how you fix a groupie is you ice her out, and how you fix a celebrity who wants the groupies to be there, but they don't really want to talk to them, but they want the attention. You don't show up. Now, we can still go about our business, but he should never really be addressed directly. His people will get on it. And if they don't stay on top of what the vibe is, there'll be hell to pay on their end. Yeah. So going after Kellyanne Conway and her kids and all of that, I mean, it's a joke. She's got her little raggedy child all over online doing whatever. Don't think that maybe she didn't hoe her out, because that's who they are. I'm not falling for it. Take your TikTok kid, because I've always said, ice them out too. The kids, the dog, the cat, the maid, cold. You know, they are a virus. And now we're going to be concerned about Kellyanne Conway's daughter acting out on Twitter. That's her problem. Yeah. That's her problem. And why should we reward her ratty little bratty child who, let me tell you, in 10 years' time will be just like her mama and will be working in somewhere, some corporation with an internship. And then everybody will be like, oh, poor, yeah, that was when she was young. She'll come correct to their side. That's what all those alt-right people do. And these elites. They always have a few black sheep that wander off, and they're little prodigal kids. Then they always come back because they can't make it in the real world and they need that money.
Okay.
Kellyanne Conway looks like melted mayonnaise.
Oh,
yeah. Now with Botox.
Just want to shout out to Ms. Joan Pierre. Between her and Nicole, if you are in the Toronto area, they know how to run events. So they are great event planners. Nice. Have much respect for them. So anyone who wants some direction, some leadership in regards to event planning, two ladies I respect immensely. So
I'd love to come, but we're not allowed to leave. You guys won't let us in.
Well, speaking about that, it's a nice segue. Jill is in California, and everything's basically locked down in California because of COVID.
It should be.
Well, and so let's move into our next segment. American COVID. Every day, more cases. Every day, more deaths.
Every day, Trump ignores it.
Well, by the way, Nicole says we need an online event with these ladies. You see that?
Yes.
There we go.
Love it.
So let's talk. Well, like, Jill, you were right basically at ground zero. Other than probably your state, there's Texas and Florida. Those are the three ground zero states right now. What is it like right now, ground zero, COVID, California?
Well, I think because California is so spread out, Florida is spread out, everybody gets in their cars, and we kind of lose the sense of awareness of we're not very mindful of our immediate spaces. So we take a lot of things for granted. There are no longer any lines that determine the spacing. Orange County was a big problem for us. I mean, pretty much every area where there are white supremacists in California were the problematic areas, and they're the ones to be blamed because they have been the most ignorant and rebellious on GP, because these, I don't know what their problems are. They just either need attention, but they have rebelled against wearing masks. And so I think that in these areas, we have suffered because they've been allowed to cross into other counties, like, with Orange County. I mean, I personally stay in Orange County. Don't come to LA. LA has, because we're pretty urban, there's certain denser areas where people are closer to each other. But hell, I mean, even I'd have to say people who were homeless were adhering to the mask rules. Our governor has made sure to get housing for many of the homeless. He still saved the $1 billion plan that he still has for housing people, because now everybody's consciously aware that about 7 million people are about to be evicted across this country. So I think that people will not start to realize the cause and effect of not only COVID, but their money. And that's sadly what has kicked in. It's their money. You touch people's money, and that's what the problem is. And then they, drag up Obama and everybody else and your mama and my mama and everybody to blame it on. But the reality is that they don't care about people here and in many states anymore in America. They only care about themselves, and they feel like, they're immune to it and that it is still a hoax. And that is because of Donald Trump's leadership or failure as a leader. And he hates California particularly, so he really wants to see people dead here. Like I said, he's bathing in the blood. Queen Bathory.
Henry Morris says a freeze of 45 is a definite action move, but must be followed with an affirmation, defiance, and unity of all people wanting real freedom.
Yeah, I agree. And that is the strategy of trying to figure out what to do. It's kind of like with Black Lives Matter. It's like sometimes I'm like, well, who the hell is running this thing? I feel like I walked into a party and I get the vibe of it, but I'm like, where do I go get my coat? Or where do I put my jacket down? I want to see leadership, mission statements, and I think it's some type of unity that we have to. Everybody's sort of fractioned off. I mean, we have to think about it. Like even with the resistance, the French resistance, there were many different factions during that time, but we really are in a war. This is not the same as like the physical with bombs dropping. We are in the war already. So some of these different groups need to be like Finland and decide, okay, I mean, I don't really like the Germans, but the Russians are on my behind. So I guess I'm going to have to come together on this moment. So that's what a lot of people have to do and set aside the ego. But we do have to figure it out. And I don't know if it's us setting the example. I'm not really sure how that would be organized, but perhaps everybody just has to pull back, don't indulge it. It's tricky.
There's got to be some kind of way at this point to circumvent Trump because of the number of cases of COVID that we have and the number of people dying, especially with this talk of sending kids back to school. They have not held him accountable for anything, but with the number of cases that we are getting now per day, going into like a danger zone, and we're already at 3 million cases, okay? When we got to 1 million, they should have been trying to hold him accountable. They didn't. Mm-hmm. And so now we're at a point where people need to start looking into circumventing him, because it's when the president has given up on what is supposed to be his job, then somebody needs to step in. And when the vice president is too busy on his knees in front of the president, we need somebody else to step up and do the job.
You had to go there.
I mean, you're right. You did. And that's the other thing. He's sort of like this drifting fart that comes in and comes out. Honestly, it's like one day he's here, and then for another couple weeks, and then when there's a lot of gas going on, and then there he is.
For people who have not heard Jill live before, get ready. Like I'm telling you. Before we go any further, just want to shout out, Henri Morris says, Californians feel highly entitled, so they're not caring about the masses. Nicole's saying she's so concerned for her loved ones that live in California.
Yeah, it's true. It's definitely, my family as well. They're working, they're out. It's difficult, and it's I pray to God or the goddess every day to have a hand on them. The saddest part is we lost a fan in the purple community. And we're seeing a few of those people. And over the years, people don't think this, but I get quite attached to people, even if I'm not really chatting to them all the time. And that was kind of tough because, it's like we've lost people in this. So for 45 to be able and to feel this, that he can say what he's saying about these deaths, I'm sorry. That's just not for me, and that's why it's so much better for your spirit when you do not listen to him.
Yeah,
it really is. So maybe that's the one thing. You can read what he's doing, but don't indulge. And
he's reckless. He is so reckless with his words. It's shameful. Even with this going back to school thing, he said if 14,000 children died, that means we did a good job. Are you kidding me? 14,000 kids just from COVID, never mind the mass shootings in schools, because that is going to return as well when we start sending kids back to school. It's like COVID's not going to be our only problem.
No. And well, they didn't care about the shootings. So, and some people have been saying things like, well, in Obama's, there was this brother on my page the other day saying Obama had 42 shootings in his whole terms. And another kid came on and said, and Trump has had 43 in a year.
Right. Right.
So Nicole, I'm going to get to your question in just a moment, but isn't it interesting that I think 45's game plan is, I don't want any responsibility. I'm just going to tell people what to do. I'm not going to help them. And if they fail, it's all on them. It's not on me. Is that his game plan?
Well, if they fail, it's all on them. It's not on me. But I want them to open up because I need the economy to do well so that I can win the presidency. He wants these kids to go back to school so that their parents can go back to work and generate and stimulate the economy. That's the only thing that he wants the schools to open for. Not because he wants the kids to have a good education. He wants the economy to be the way he needs it to be in November so that he wins the election. That's it. It's all selfishness. He doesn't give a damn about those kids. And you think COVID's bad now. Like I said in my tweet, watch what happens when you send 56.6 million little petri dishes back to school.
And also the virus has gotten stronger. It is a different strain, and it's increased in its wrath. And that was said, that happened with the Spanish flu. The second time it came around, it just wiped hella people out. And I wish, and in the case of Floridians, I feel really sad because that stupid jerk governor decided to, there's no more online classes. He stopped that. So I will tell you one thing. People need to get lawsuits and start suing. Yeah. Sue the government. Nobody made me sign an NDA.
Nicole's question, what are you doing and what are your friends and families doing to cope during COVID? How are you coping? Each of you, your friends, your families?
Well, I'm kind of quarantined with my family. So what are we doing? We're driving each other crazy.
True.
No, actually, I've been writing a lot. and just kind of focused on that. But the other things I've had to focus on were, getting my daughter through the last days of high school and getting her ready for college. So that's been my focus throughout this period of time. And just really kind of following politics and how all of this is going and how it's going to play out, because I don't see this ending anytime soon. And so what I've been doing is just kind of checking up on all of my friends and making sure everybody's okay. And I think that's one thing that we can all do, is that to make sure that, each taking care of each other and making sure that we're all okay.
And in my case, I don't think I've dealt with it as well as many others. I mean, I'm pretty much home all the time. I may go to the supermarket every now and then, but I started to create a backup plan for my family and looking for jobs in Europe and different countries and applying and basically talking to different embassies about emigrating. My husband's German, so that's something that definitely is, for us, it's fine, but I'm looking into it for other members of my entire family. Seriously, because I feel that if he gets in, that the day after, he'll just slaughter us all. And I don't know why I feel that way, but I just do. Because especially when I read the thing about ICE having the trainings for people to now be able to be armed and to perform citizens arrests on immigrants, that's like putting, the SS in and starting to, franchise that. And I don't like that. And the fact that for me, Congress is failing us, even the Democrats, I need y'all hopping over the desks at these hearings. I need to see somebody go and grab one of those dudes sitting there with their smug looks. I need you to put that foot right where it belongs, because I'm done. They took a vacation in the middle of this. I'm done.
Okay, I just want to, and Jill, I did not know how serious you were about this, but it sounds pretty serious.
Very.
Well, how about Canada?
If anybody will have us to be able to come. Yeah, easily, in a second. Okay. I think it's great. We want to fight and hang on to this, but we can't do it alone. We really are going to have no country that we recognize after this. And I feel that the train has left the station, and now Americans are sitting around waiting for it down the road to smack them and knock them all the way off, because he's changing some systematic things with the judges and this and that. And he could very well have people marching down our streets. I don't feel safe. I don't feel protected by anything here. Not even Congress, not their little back and forth. They got to get raw for me to respect any of them.
Yeah.
Aisha, jump in, and then I'm going to catch up with some comments. Go ahead, Aisha.
I'm kind of disappointed in the Democrats this particular session. I think they kind of let him get away with too much. It was like after impeachment and they couldn't remove him, they kind of just threw up both their hands, and all of them just kind of like, oh, whatever, we're done. So we just have to wait to the election. They could have censured him. Right now, during this time, while people are dying, they know they can't pass stuff, but an impeached president, they can do, there are some things that I'm sure they can do that they're not doing. And it's sad right now that, I agree with Jill, they need to fight. If you really want to win, fight. They need to fight. And this is the problem that Democrats have all the time. Democrats need to learn how to fight like Republicans do.
Yeah.
They don't fight the way Republicans do. It makes no sense to be the party of benevolence when benevolence is what gets you stomped on all the time. And we're not talking about political arguments at this point. We're talking about people's lives. People are dying, and they're predicting that by the end of the year, we could have some 250,000 people dead.
Yeah.
And the question then becomes, what did you do? What did you do to stop it? What did you do to prevent it? And if you did nothing, then you're just as guilty as the other man who did nothing.
Okay, I'm going to jump in and catch up with some comments here. Nicole saying, what he said about the kids in schools is scary. It also affects their families and then everyone they are connected to. So 14,000 is just the beginning of those that will die. This feels like a mass murder being planned.
Genocide.
It's genocide.
Now, Brian's saying, I was wondering if my American brothers and sisters feel that there is love and support from people in other countries, those of us who feel empathetic to your current political and COVID situation. I know online the worldwide reaction might seem like, quote, typical Americans, unquote, serves them right, unquote, pile on, just want to show some love. Dr. Tachi talks about her state's governor. Jill,
You said it. You said it.
there you go. There's your term, Dr. Tachi. We were talking about this the other day when we were doing the practice run of this.
Yep.
How much Jill loves that term, waste
I
of
do. Waste of skin.
She loves it.
Yeah.
Nicole
And bag of dirt.
okay.
Yeah,
He's a
bag of
bag of
dirt.
dirt.
I didn't bag of dirt. Nicole says, Jill, this is a solid plan, such a great idea, relocating. I think a lot of people will have to consider this in order to survive. Brian, I believe Brian lives in Canada. He says he's got a couch.
Oh, thank you. I might be showing up.
And then, husband too.
Yes, my husband, my daughter. Yeah, that's it. Just three of us.
And Dr. Tachi says, yes, dams are too damn nice. The other party does not respond too gently.
No.
So before we get off this conversation topic, let's get back to the schools. Both of you have young ladies that are scheduled to go back to school. Aisha,
My daughter's done.
Oh, your daughter's done. Okay,
Yes,
but
thank
Aisha,
God.
you have a daughter starting her first year. How are you feeling?
I was telling, I think I told Jill this, that I was actually kind of comfortable with the plan that they have for her. Her school, she's going to University of Connecticut, UConn, and their plan is to bring all the students back 2 weeks before classes start. So she goes back August 14th. And they're going to quarantine the students for 2 weeks, and which means that they can't leave the campus at all. And they're going to do some COVID testing on the students. All resident students who live in the traditional dorms will have single rooms, so she won't be sharing with anybody, which gives me comfort to know that her space will be hers and she doesn't have to worry about spreading germs with another person. And then all commuter students and all faculty will have to be tested as well. So I feel pretty confident that she'll be good there. She's, we're getting her supply of masks and gloves and cleaning supplies and all that stuff, disinfectants and all that stuff that she needs. So I'm not too worried. I'm just, an hour away, a little more than an hour away. So I'm okay with that part of it. What I'm not okay with just yet is her leaving.
Right. I know.
Understood. Well, and Galen Bingham, another great supporter of the Dr. Vibe show and great executive, says the United States is losing her standing on the world each day as each day passes.
Yeah.
All right, so let's transition to our next conversation topic. And I want to say a big shout out to everyone that is catching our conversation live this Saturday afternoon. I know you probably don't have too many places to go, but you're here, and we appreciate your comments. So please keep them coming. As I say, I'm doing them in real time. We're getting up on the screen, and I think too. Well, I'll wait till the end of the conversation because some of these people I think would make good special guests on the conversation, but we'll save that till the end. Next thing, 45 took a left-right this week from the Supreme Court. Supreme Court allows New York access to his taxes, but has blocked the House. Right. So is this a win or a loss for 45?
Well, I think it's a loss
Why?
because it means that on November 4th, should he lose on November 4th, state of New York can go ahead and arrest him.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Well, they can at least serve him.
Yeah, we can't arrest a sitting president, right?
They can't,
Isn't that
right,
the thing?
they can't arrest him. But January 22nd, 2021, they can. They can go right there. Look, they can go. He's not. He said he's skipping the inauguration if Joe Biden's elected, so they can go pick him up.
Jill, your thoughts on what happened with the Supreme Court?
I think for him, the betrayal really was the fact that the two people he put in, Gorsuch and whoever. What did he have? Yes, he had. They didn't vote for him. They were, they actually betrayed him.
That was beautiful.
But there will be hell to pay. I mean, we know he's a spiteful geezer, but that's okay. I mean, but then again, I never know what they're doing. If it's a game, if it's how they want to play it. Because then old Clarence Thomas pulled up in the other driveway. Understand? So it's kind of like, was this coordinated? Because I don't trust any of them. And do I think we'll ever see his? No, I don't think we'll see. We will see. I still think that they will make it, find a grand jury if it moves forward, and it'll remain private. And until we get rid of all that stuff with these grand juries and the privacy of that, I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of really the weight of his manipulation and destruction. This guy feels invincible in everything and anything that he does.
But here's my point, though. None of the taxes will get released to the general public before the next election in November. Is that not a win?
We still have his niece, though, with her book, because apparently somewhere their taxes overlap. So we may not see the most current, but I would almost be in my heart of hearts, knowing as many audits as he had. Trump is probably, his corporations and all that are behind in their taxes and are having amended taxes because nobody can get through his operating agreements. Most of these developers do this game. That's the problem. That's why he's giving away his salary, because he's still working out his taxes.
Yeah.
Trust me. I
don't think we can understand his taxes even if we saw them.
Forensic accounting, that's a whole book in itself, and it's going to be somebody who understands all of those loopholes in our corporate, how we allow corporations to work in this country. Everybody knows if somebody's a developer, they're shady AF, because there's so many ways to basically spend no money and make money. You don't even have to put a building up to do it. Buy some land, move around a few investment dollars, play a game, get it back. You end up at bankruptcy court, sign off to all your operating agreement companies, your construction company, your cleaning, maintenance, whatever you've got sub in your umbrella thing, and you're good as gold. You will walk away with money. Well, your investors will lose money.
Around.
And that's why he wasn't just not being able to get loans in America. I mean, what ultimately happened is, and it's so rich that people who have been applying for some of the stimulus money from small banking companies, it's so rich. Right. That one of the things that disqualifies them is if they've ever applied for bankruptcy and ever been have a judgment against them. I mean, how can you keep supporting this dude? This is the thing. That is one of the things that's caused a lot of people to not be able to get their money. However, we should do a little bit of digging to see how many of those people did, in fact, have bankruptcies and write things off. Just because you named it another name, those loopholes, they need to stop.
And I think that's probably why the majority of the people who have been given that PPP money through the stimulus have gotten it. because they don't qualify for the other kinds of traditional loans, but somehow they've been able to get these PPP funds that they don't need, like Betsy DeVos, like Kanye West,
right, who was filing bankruptcy. So my question is, why did you get a loan? You filed bankruptcy. That you shouldn't have been able to get one. That's the criteria that regular people are going through. Why the hell did you get $2 million? And why didn't you just take a personal loan from your wife?
Yeah.
Miss Moneybags.
Just want to interrupt.
Exactly.
Two more comments here. I have Nadine Spencer, who is the president of the Black Business and Professional Association in Toronto. Thank you so much for stopping by, Nadine. And also, Galen Bingham has a question. With any other candidate for any office, we would say, where there's smoke, there's fire. Why would you fight so hard to hide something that isn't there?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
100.
I mean, that is the question. However, you have to remember who, again, his supporters are. These are people who eat roadkill and possum, like I said before. When your diet is lacking in nutrition, your brain doesn't get the stuff it needs to make you think critically and ask the questions that need to be asked. Like, why would you?
Wait a minute. Now, I had a grandpa who was trying to make some possum soup once, and my grandmother, who was from up north, she was a northern Black woman versus her southern husband. She was like, oh, hell no. She's like, that possum out there you want to make a soup out of, he just got stuck in the gate. What the hell? And his head was stuck in the gate. She's like, let him go.
Aisha, you see what your cause bringing the possum thing up?
I mean, I'm not, my family's from South Carolina.
Yeah.
So, oxtails and rice is but
you're right.
Rice.
You're absolutely right. We definitely have a serious issue because he has, if New York, because it may be a situation that will unravel the way Jeffrey Epstein's life did, where Acosta came in and it sort of just triggered all of these things with the courts, which therefore started opening the doors for the victims in New York to get or to seek justice. So this is about trying to find out the payoffs that Trump has made to people, to all of his alleged victims, to shut him down. I'd really be curious after a lot of these, like Letitia James, or when these people are no longer in office or in years to come when they write books, it will be very interesting to see what is going on with them. Because Letitia James, I lived in her district in Brooklyn, and from day one, I always voted for her. And here she is, Attorney General. So for me, she always kept her eye on the prize, but I know she's getting hit hard. But she's a New Yorker. She knows how Trump is. Everybody knew Trump's reputation in New York from day one.
And some of this stuff too, we don't have very long to wait to come out. There's gonna, when they do those presidential papers and they release all that stuff, it might be heavily redacted, but there's gonna be stuff that does come out, like they did with the Kennedy papers and the Nixon papers and all that stuff will come out. I mean, remember Trump's advanced age. We're not gonna have to wait very long.
No, but everybody is at that phase. And I've seen it in our African American community with people lately sending me all of this Q stuff and all of these conspiracy theories. I had to finally tell a friend of mine, like, you do realize you're only being used. You're not in the equation of the game that's going on in this conspiracy theory. You are not even thought of, but I certainly started understanding when, I don't know. I understand that we're going to have to let go on the cliff with some of them too, because we've got a lot of broken men in the community, Black men, and for them to be going after, going after Obama, going after and the Chicago thing. How come Obama didn't do anything for Chicago? And I'm like, how come your president Trump hasn't done anything for Chicago? Let's move on, but sending videos of
live in Chicago anymore.
Well, it's like you can see the ignorance too. It's like there's a thing with Obama on a surfboard, and he's on a paddleboard, and they're like, see, he's being home monitored because he's a blah, 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 whatever craziness. And I'm like, dude, I wear that when I go into the ocean. It prevents sharks. I was like, clearly you haven't been near water, ain't had a shower in days probably. I don't know. But it's that kind of stuff. It just keeps trickling. And it's really destroying us. It's destroying us. To see people, black people saying they support Trump is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking to me.
I heard a woman yesterday, the worst thing I heard was one who, her conspiracy theory was why black people should not wear masks.
Why?
She cut open one of the masks and said because they put a 5G wire in the masks. You know the pliable thing that they put in the mask? Yeah. So she cut it out and she said, see, it's a 5G wire. Do not put it. When black people are dying at a disproportionate rate from
Let's
COVID.
be honest, Russia already hit that target by trying to kill as many of us as they possibly could, because within the first week that came out, they started filtering information out of Milan saying black people couldn't get it, and out of China. So that was all orchestrated, and that should just let people know. This is my point. Our social media platforms need to start pulling out no more anonymous names, no more. If you have the gall to listen in on my devices, my home, then you need to be able to out those people too. It's not right. Right. And we need to make a stand on that. And I don't know, I mean, we could barely get people to boycott freaking Goya or Walmart. But people need to understand money. It's all they care about. Every death, every hole in the ground, every cremation. Yeah. They make money. They bought coffins.
Just want to interject here for a quick second. So just going to catch up on some comments. And Dr. Tachi is loving this because you can see she's saying about 45 supporters, they are lacking serious vitamins and minerals, LMAO. And she go, yes, New Yorkers always knew the level of Cheeto Satan's evil. And she said, you cannot be black and support this fool.
No, you can't. And it's so, you know, I was reading Ludwig Wittgenstein. I read a lot this week. But so Ludwig had a whole concept about language and a philosopher about how we use words. And then at one point, the biggest question is, he made this after arriving at a decision later on because he was kind of hypercritical about certain things with words and their meanings. He actually had said, we need like a psychoanalyst, we need psychotherapists and psychologists to almost analyze words and the use of them. Not so much the people, it's the usage of the word, because things are being so cut up these days. He lies. Trump lies. And it is now at a level where people are like, well, everybody lies. And it's different, or that's his point of view. You know, this is a very philosophical point about our language. And the problem with Trump supporters is that their language is so limited. So is their world because of the language. Their language is very limited, which makes their world equally as limited and less expansive. And that is what he knows. He knows that. I can't even talk to half of them.
Yeah. I'm going to need the next Trump supporter who puts up a sign that says, speak English because it's America, to be able to spell America.
Please.
They, just the level of ignorance and unlearnedness. It's like, I've never seen people take so much pride in being ignorant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I'm proud to be stupid is their motto. And I mean.
But I mean, come on, weren't they from day one when they came over on the boats? I mean, England basically got rid of all the garbage that they had, and they sent them over here.
It's this thing. the Republicans who are the traditional Republicans are acting like they are so mesmerized and baffled and can't figure out how did Trump come in and scoop up, and just take over the party and bring this trash into it. Why are you surprised? You sat there while the Tea Party wing took over and did nothing.
Sure did.
You sat there and let this, because they won you the House and the Senate in 2010. You sat there and did nothing and just kind of hoped that the Tea Party stuff would die out. And it got quiet, but it didn't go away. They invited Trump in 2011, and you had a virus then and you did not kill it. You just let it kind of fester and get worse, and it just mutated and mutated and mutated, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. It was like a tumor, and it just grew and grew and grew.
It still is.
And then here you have this tumor, this 300-pound tumor, and you can't figure out what to do with it. You thought that once it got in office, it was benign.
That's why you starve it. You starve a tumor. You starve it.
Exactly. But they thought that they would be able to control it and found out that they couldn't.
Yeah.
I'm just going to interrupt to catch up on the comments because we're getting a little bit short on time. So we've got Dr. Tati saying, "Oh, I'm through with Goya. I'll make my own adobo."
Me too.
Go ahead, adobo. It's just as good.
Okay, Galen is saying the only element of the Constitution that seems safe is the second half of the Second Amendment. The first half of that amendment and the entire First Amendment is under siege. Everything else seems to be up for sale.
Yes.
Henry Morris says transparency.
Yes. The second half is only preserved, though, for white people.
Yeah,
remember,
exactly.
The second half of the Second Amendment does not apply if you are a person of color.
Henry saying transparency we seek has to be fought by those who can cut away from the ambiguous writing of the law. The longer we're in the dark, we're reacting for an emotional position instead of a factual position. Nicole saying yes.
That's a good point.
Henri is saying political parties make moves for their own purpose and not for the people who trusted them to be their voice. Changing the narrative starts with changing the mindset. And saying what the Black Coalition has done with the Blackout Tuesday is a start. Now Calvin Maker is asking us now to extend this movement to blackout weekends, supporting Black business owners, building wealth in our demographics.
So instead of saying, I support Black businesses, or I'm going to have this particular day that I support Black businesses, to say, today I'm going to the store, and just knowing that store is a Black business. The same way when we say, I'm going to the grocery store.
There's some online spots too that are you can order your groceries from, and they're Black grocers. So
you just make it a same regular practice as we do with other corporate businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So our final conversation point with a little bit time we have left, according to new guidelines issued by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, the government will stop issuing visas for students planning to pursue online-only courses starting in September, while those already in the U.S. will need to transfer to institutions that still conduct in-person classes or leave the country altogether.
And guess what? I actually read something in the German news and in French news. They're saying, bring them on, let them come. Yeah. Because they're seeing, apparently there was a discussion on one of the German shows. They're like, it only benefits them because a lot of these schools have annexes. The kids from the Middle East don't even have to leave to go to Harvard or to go to Yale because there's annexes in Qatar. And they've been building these facilities outside of the U.S. for a while.
Yeah.
So they want to destroy America. He wants to do this. Y'all think I'm crazy. He's making this a boneyard. And he's doing it for Russia. Read Alexander Dugan stuff, and cannot keep saying that. This is the plan. It's been the plan for a long time, and now he does it. He's not even in control. This is all coming from a foreign Trump is just a little whatever he is, but he's doing it for the love of Russia, because remember, he couldn't get one loan in America, and they can't even get to the bottom of it with Deutsche Bank and what went on. So yeah.
Aisha, you're shaking your head. What up?
A lot of colleges are going to doing online for the first semester this year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of colleges are moving to that because they can't guarantee social distancing on their campus to keep their students safe.
Which is great.
It's not that they want to offer, it's not that, kids are just deciding to take online classes. It's his mess that the universities are trying to clean up.
I think he knows what he's doing personally. I think that he's got his constituents hate college. They don't think it's a reason. The rich people can always send their kids privately. They can get a freaking governess to come in and teach their kids. That's all. It doesn't matter. These are problems of the small people.
It's about immigration.
It's about immigration. Yeah. But the interesting thing is, I just think that America will lose, and I think that the universities have already squared away in other parts of the world to still maintain their campuses.
So Galen Bing has an interesting point, says this is a short-sighted solution that will have significant long-term implications. Of course, we have to be concerned about the long-term success of America to think strategically about this.
Stingy pays twice. We will pay twice for this.
Wow.
Stingy. But remember, none of us are going to have health insurance either. So, and how many people aren't going to have any jobs? Who the hell wants to be here?
Yeah.
Who would want to go to school here?
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, in my city, Yale is the biggest employer. In my state, it's one of the biggest employers.
And you're also a Democratic state, right?
And also a Democratic state.
And it will hurt you the most.
And this is more than just it being about the COVID. Right. This is also about Trump's position on colleges. It's about getting back at who he believes the elite are, who his supporters believe the elite are. His supporters hate college-educated people. Once again, we're going back to stupid. Trump is bragging about passing a cognition test that he took at Walter Reed. Yeah. Because, they thought he had dementia. It's not like they asked him the theory of quantum physics, okay? They asked him to pin a tail on a donkey.
I know. That was what it was. Bravo. That's exactly what they did. Wow.
Nicole says, I would not be sending my children to school unless things change drastically.
I wouldn't either.
I have a friend that lives in North Carolina, and she told me the other day, she said, Aisha, I cannot send my kids back to school. I'm not sending them back to school. She lives in North Carolina. She said, I can't because I have sickle cell anemia.
What's so disturbing for me is that how the chain reaction, I think one of the commenters had mentioned, there is a chain reaction here. We're talking about domestic violence rates have gone up. We're talking about our citizens not only dealing with COVID, but just the financials and also just this amount of stress that's happening. And to see that we don't have an empathetic, compassionate, we have a zombie. We have an evil Nephilim sitting up there in the White House. And, to be honest with you, how can you say that when you know that the things that people are about to embark upon? We have a situation where the feds lowered the rates for freaking banks, right? For us to get loans. And the banks raised the rates. And there's no checks and balances. It's so extreme. People are like, hey, I need a loan. They raised it. There's still redlining going on in the Black communities. They're not going to get any loans. We're at red alert. Red alert.
Yale, it's actually interesting you mentioned that because a few weeks ago I was listening to a show on NPR and the commentator said, we are right around the corner from another banking crisis.
Absolutely. Well, look, they fleeced and flossed us.
Well,
I mean, again and again and again. And every time the Republicans get in, they play this 3-card Molly. And my whole point is, I am so sick of them. I just wish somebody would just run them all over with a freaking truck. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's just too much, metaphorically, figuratively. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, because
Because it's like
Secret
in my
Service
dream, who could even make up this nightmare?
Gail Bingham saying we're at a point where voting is no longer enough. We have to be willing to check folks with, quote, 45 press release, unquote, comments on social media. If you ask them, quote, how do you know that, unquote, twice, they usually fold because most aren't thinking, just repeating what they've heard.
Exactly.
No. See, here's the problem. Black people should not have to do this. I stopped doing it on social media. When those people come up and I stop correcting them, what I do is I turn around to my white allies on social media and I post, someone needs to come get their person. I tell them all the time, somebody needs to come get their person because it's not my responsibility to keep checking these folks. It's their responsibility to hold their people accountable. And it's how they can engage in dealing with this. It's like, you want to be an ally, this is how you can be an ally.
Wow.
I mean, I don't even know about the ally part sometimes. It's like we also have this other thing online, which people are trying to stay relative and relevant and one day they're and contrary. But I know that I don't like people coming in and hijacking my threads with their nonsense because those people tend to want to do it. And I've actually just blocked them.
There have been times when Jill and I have double teamed people. Somebody will come after Jill, and Jill will tag me, and I'll go in. We've done.
I used to have fun with it, but now they're waste of skin. They're people that are a waste of my time.
Jill, what did you just say?
They're a waste of skin, and they're not worth my time. I'm too valuable. My time is too valuable to spend anymore. I start to see it. I've tried to talk a little bit, and then I'm like, Jill, make a new turn. Today's my birthday. You do it, you got to go.
The only time I get angry is when white men come up on the thread and tell Jill that she's not black.
That's true.
Ladies, I think we'll call it a wrap on our first.
Thank you, guys.
Like I'm saying, fantastic conversation, and the audience is always fantastic. Any final words, ladies, before we shut it down?
Happy birthday, Jill.
Happy birthday, Jill.
Thank you. My final words, have a backup plan.
Have at least 2.
Yeah, it's true.
2 backup plans, 2.
Yeah.
And if people want to find out and get in touch with you, Jill, how can they do that?
You can find me on Twitter at Jill D. Jones. And on my Facebook page, it's Facebook Jill Jones Music. And Instagram is Jill Jones Music too. You can find me those places.
Aisha, how can people get in touch with you?
The best way is Twitter at capital AISHA, capital STAGGERS. And I'll be there today.
I think both of you are going to be there today. Even Jill on her birthday. I have a feeling.
That's true.
I have a few people are going to be there today. Well, look, first of all, ladies, another thing that Dr. Tachi has put out there. She has a hashtag called Be More Er. So she wants better, stronger, smarter, kinder.
Ooh.
I don't know if you're still here, Dr. Tachi, but we love
I like that.
Be More Er. So I'd like to thank Dr. Tachi, Nicole, Galen, Henri, Joan Pierre, Bobby, Brian. Thank you so much. Anyone else who was watching this also. So if you watch this live on the replay, thank you very much. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. My name is Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, the host of Epic Conversations. If you want to touch base with me, yes, VIBESHOW.com. If you want to do anything else with me, that's the best place. All my social media there, all my posts are there. Remember, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, you can catch me monthly hosting live online chats that are co-sponsored by DAD, Central Canada's National Fatherhood Organization, and Dove Men Care. As always, I end off all my epic conversations with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. And thanks to BIA Media, Luke and his team for making this happen. And I'm going to put it out there. If you would like to join these ladies for a live conversation, my email address, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. One more time, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Or you can go to my website, click on the top, and hit on Contact Dr. Vibe, because I think you got to be ready to join them both. But they are outstanding. They're epic. Happy birthday, Jill. God bless. Peace you well. Keep the faith and walk good.